Hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. We are now here to talk about day 14. It's hard to believe we're nearly at the end of the US Open, and what a tournament it has been. It's thrown up some really interesting matchups. We've seen some of the cream rise to the top so far, and we've got two final days to get through to deliver us the pinnacle, the peak, and the best of the US Open, the final Grand Slam of 2025. It's been great to have everyone on board tuning in and giving us your feedback, so thank you for that, and we look forward to bringing you along for the ride for even more of the daily doses and our weekly shows around the ground, as well as some feature interviews that will come over the coming months, and a few other surprises and added pieces that we're going to add to our YouTube channel most notably, but also our social media as well. Of course, speaking of the YouTube, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe down below, hit the bell, and that's the best way for you to get notifications about each and every one of our episodes that is dropping on the regular for you. And as well as that, if you want to stay up to date with our shorter content in between shows, or in case you've missed anything, the places to find that are our social media channels. You can find us on X, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course on Facebook at The Chris Mack Show, or search The Chris McPherson Show. That's how you'll find us. And give us a follow on there. We'd love to connect with you on those platforms, as well as seeing you here on our podcast. But as I said, day 14 is just ahead of us. Day 13, almost in the rear vision mirror as we record. We have the women's doubles final wrapped up a little earlier on, and it was the combination of the Kiwi and the Canadian, Erin Routliffe and Gabriela Dabrowski, winning their second Grand Slam title together, taking out the number one seeds, Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova, 6-4, 6-4. It was a really gritty, really challenging match for both teams. It was a good match to watch. It was a matter, both sides had 7 break points, but it was Dabrowski and Routliffe who took the most of their opportunities. They won 4 breaks, just the 2 breaks won by Townsend and Siniakova. And it was really about dominating on the back of their first serve. 81% of their points won on first serve led them to that second title. So congratulations to Routliffe and Dabrowski, 2 stars of the doubles circuit. Some of the best players in the doubles circuit getting around, getting into that final. So that was great to see with the women's doubles. In terms of where things are at in the men's singles as we go, as we come to you now, we have Yannick Sinner leading in the first set against Felix Auger-Aliassime, but we're still waiting to see how that progresses. He's up 4-1 at this stage and looking like he's well to securing that first set. Earlier today, it was Carlos Alcaraz continuing on. He is yet to drop a set as he gets through to another Grand Slam final. His 3rd in a row. He has been a real absolute star this year. So Yannick Sinner is going to need to go deep and take on Alcaraz, in that final if he wants to maintain the number 1 ranking as it sits. Because if Alcaraz wins and Sinner doesn't make the final, Alcaraz will be the world number 1. So certainly going to come right down to it. He has, as I said, Alcaraz dominated Djokovic 4-6 and 2. There's some thought maybe that was the last we'll see of Djokovic at the US Open, but I'll tell you what, if he's someone that people are saying is a little over the hill, it's pretty bloody impressive to think that he is now still making Grand Slam semi-finals whilst being, in inverted commas, over the hill. So well done to Djokovic on getting this far. He'll head back into, I think he finishes up 4th in the rankings after this. So he's moved back up the rankings after a slow drift we'd seen leading into the US Open. So well done to Novak, and unfortunately it wasn't to be. And it looks on paper like we might see Alcaraz Sinner for the 3rd time in a row. So we will wait and see. But that's day 13. Obviously, Sinner to play out against Felix Auger-Aliassime. FAA is going to have to come back from a couple of breaks down early there, so we'll see how that plays out. Next up, we've got the men's doubles, which will kick off day 14 of the tournament, the penultimate day of the tournament. And it is, as we touched on a day or so ago, it's going to be Marcel Granollers and Horacio Zeballos, the combination of the Spaniard and the Argentine, up against the British pair. Skupski and Salisbury, the 5th seeds, Granollers and Zeballos against the 6th seeds, Skupski and Salisbury. Interestingly, when we have a look at the draw for these guys, it's an interesting matchup. I mean, Granollers and Zeballos have not had to beat another seeded pair on their way through. They've been really strong. They've had 3 3-setters in their last 3 matches after opening with some comfortable straight sets wins. They're certainly going to head in here as a great chance. When we have a look at Skupski, they have had to get through some seeds in the 3rd round. What was the round of 16? They beat Edouard Roger Vasselin and Nice in 3 sets. They then got past Thomas Mahatch and Vosel. Then they came up against Venus and Banbury the last one, which is probably the most impressive. They came back from a set down there. So this one's certainly going to be interesting. It'll be the early hours of our Aussie morning. It's been a bit of a weird men's doubles tournament. We saw 3 of the top 4 seeds all knocked out by the second round, which has meant that there's been quite a lot of progression of other non-seeded pairs. Even the German pairing of Tim Poots and Kevin Krowitz, who were the 4th seed, they were knocked out in the 3rd round as well. So all top 4 seeds were knocked out in the 3rd round, which then we saw the 5th and 6th seeds progress through. As I said, the 5th seeds, Granollers and Zabalos, yet to play a seeded pairing. While a couple more came through from that other section in the bottom half for Salisbury and Skupski, the 6th seed. So yeah, really interesting for mine, seeing so many of the seeds bow out so early. But it means we've got some, what would potentially be some different names. But these pairs are, really strong, solid doubles pairings. When we have a look at both ranked around the 25th mark combined in doubles. So well done to both these pairs coming through. Looking forward to seeing how this shapes up in the early hours of Sunday morning, our time. It'll be about 2 a.m. So it'll be an early start. If you're a fan of the doubles, it'll be well worth getting up and watching. The women's doubles this morning was a cracker. This will be as well. But the main piece we're here to talk about is obviously the women's singles final. And I tell you what a final it's going to be. It's going to be Amanda Anisimova up against Aryna Sabalenka. Huge matchup. Sabalenka 3 sets against Jessica Pegula. Anisimova 3 sets against Naomi Osaka. It was a huge day yesterday as these matches went late into the US night. I think it finished up about 1 something a.m. the second of the semi-finals, where Amanda Anisimova booked her 2nd straight Grand Slam final, and what an emergence it's been. It could have quite easily been a situation where she would have been broken by those love result, the double bagel at Wimbledon, but she seems to have gone to another gear. She came back, she beat Iga Swiatek, she fought back from a set down against Naomi Osaka, and Anisimova looked a little off at the start of that semi-final, I have to be fair. She looked like she was playing within herself. Once she found her gear and found her range, all of a sudden it was on in that 2nd and 3rd set, and she closed out fast. That's what she's going to need to do against Sabalenka. She's going to need to start faster and start better. But these are 2 players that know each other well. They've played each other a lot. It was interesting. Anisimova was overhitting some of her stuff, just looked a little edgy and nervy in that semi-final early against Osaka. So we know that Sabalenka is going to come power. She knows how to blast and blaze people off the court like no one else in women's tennis at the moment. Anisimova, on the other hand, that strong backhand, the forehand's developing as well, but she can actually use the pace and then generate pace herself as well and turn it back against Sabalenka. We've seen her do that previously at different points, and that's where she can be really strong. She needs to make sure her serve's on and go hard after Sabalenka here. It's going to be interesting to see who can get on top of the serve game, who can get on top of the return game. It's going to be 2 interesting sides of the same coin. But this is a matchup they've played 9 times. And a lot at big tournaments, going back to the 2019 Australian Open, the 2019 French Open. They've played in 2024 at the Australian Open. They played in 2025 at the French Open, 2025 at Wimbledon. So this is the 3rd Grand Slam in a row where they will come head-to-head. Sabalenka won on clay, probably not that surprising with how she's developed her movement and evolved that over her career, getting her to number 1 at the moment. But Anisimova won at Wimbledon, took her down in 3 sets. So it's really interesting. The last time they played on hard courts was in Toronto in 2024. Again, probably the more similar hard court to here, and Anisimova won that. They've both won against each other at the Australian Open, so it is 2-1 in Anisimova's favour on hard courts, but again, the earliest of those goes back to January 2019. This is an interesting one. I wonder how much Anisimova takes from that win at Wimbledon, getting back into that winner's circle, building. It took her to a first final, what she's learnt from that first final. But for mine, she needs to overcome the nerves and make sure that she can step up and stand up to Sabalenka if she's going to win this one. It's going to be an absolutely huge clash. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. Sabalenka is going to be the fresher of them. She spent less than 8 hours on court. Anisimova, 10 and a bit hours. That last match, 3 hours. Sabalenka's just played 11 sets. Anisimova's had to go to 14. Like, there's a significant difference in the way that they're shaping up when you have a look at it. It's also been benefited primarily because Sabalenka had that walkover in the quarterfinal against Marketa Vondrousova. But again, you have a look at some of the names that they've both beaten in recent matches. Jessica Pegula is absolutely, no mean feat for even the world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, Naomi Osaka, Iga Swiatek. This has been a building effort, and how Anisimova beats Swiatek is certainly a feather in her cap. I think it goes to probably settling those nerves and building what she can do. Also, the fact that she doesn't have to look back too far for a win against Sabalenka, and she knows that she can step to her. She knows she can take the pace to her. She knows she can use it as well. She can unload that backhand as a weapon. I think Anisimova goes a long way towards potentially winning her first Grand Slam. It's going to be an absolutely cracking match. I can see arguments for both sides, but I actually think that Anisimova is such a good matchup here. I think that it shapes really well for her. I think Sabalenka is probably Anisimova one of the players she'd least like to be facing in the final. And I'm actually going to go Amanda Anisimova to get this one done in 3. If she can control those nerves early, she can come out of the blocks, she can get into this arm wrestle, she can use her power, use that caress of the backhand. Sabalenka, her power game isn't going to intimidate Amanda Anisimova. So for me, looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Huge opportunity on the line for both these players. It's going to be an absolute cracker. Whatever happens, and these two players, Sabalenka will hold the number 1 ranking at the end of the tournament. Sabalenka, Anisimova will be ranked in the top 4, which is just reward for her last 6 months of tennis and the lead up that she's built towards that after breaking into the top 10 earlier. So looking forward to this, Anisimova, Sabalenka. It's going to be an absolute cracking match in the early hours of tomorrow morning, Sunday. It'll tee off at about 6 a.m. Australian time. So really looking forward to this. It's going to be huge. It's going to be just an epic clash, I think. I think it's going to be a big, deep, long 3-setter. 2 big hitters. It's going to be the real matchup that you want to see. We thought that might be the case with Osaka and Anisimova, but it didn't quite live up to that despite it being close. It was more about nerves and fumbles and things. So really looking forward to this, taking it to the next level and finishing this tournament on the pinnacle it deserves. It's been a great tournament so far, and really looking forward to seeing how this final plays out. But of course, as I said at the start, make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube, hit the bell down below. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know who you think wins, what sort of scoreline you're expecting. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk to you about the men's final, previewing that. We'll try and align maybe Christian Monaghan for the first serve if we can get hold of him again. He's been a very busy man at the moment covering the US Open for the first serve. But in the meantime, as always, give us a follow on the social medias and stay up to date with all of our videos dropping. We'll have more daily doses coming to you soon. And of course, our weekly episodes every Thursday. But until next time, a big thanks for tuning in onto your home of the black and white of all your sport.